What happens when something comes up in a friendship, something that has maybe hurt one or both of you, and you want to fix it, but you're not sure how? Because every situation like that doesn't mean that the friendship is over. It might just mean that there's something that needs to be worked through. So let's talk about how to repair a friendship after hurt and what that actually looks like so you can move forward without making things worse. You have to decide if it is worth fixing because not every situation needs to be fixed. Sometimes it might just be one thing that someone said that got under your skin and made you feel a certain way. If it's a one off and not a pattern, maybe that's just something you let go, right? Just a one time thing. Maybe that person you got hurt by was having a type of day, right? Those are things that may not need to be actually fixed. If it's something bigger, if it is a pattern, or maybe it is an argument possibly that you got into or some type of confrontation with your friend, then there's a couple things you want to think about. Does that friendship mean enough to you to have that conversation? And is it worth it to you to fix that friendship? Is this someone you want to stay in your life? And is this a friendship that you want to try to continue long term? And is this a friendship that your friend wants to continue long term? Right? So if it was something where both of you were hurt and both of you want to continue this friendship long term, does it matter enough to both of you to work this out and fix whatever it is that has you feeling this way? Are both people capable of working through this particular thing? Again, if it was something, some type of argument or something, or even if not, maybe that person was hurt by something you said or did. Maybe you were hurt by something that person said or did. Are both people capable of working through it and fixing it so that the friendship can continue? Those are some of the things you want to ask yourself first. Does it need to be fixed? And is it worth fixing? So before you try to fix anything, you have to be honest with yourself if this is something you actually want to fix. And if it's hurting you or hurting them, don't ignore it and just hope that it goes away. Because sometimes avoiding these things can only make it worse. And then sometimes, as we've discussed before, resentment might build up over things like that maybe you don't feel like addressing in the moment or at all. And sometimes you avoid them and it can build up resentment in the friendship. So try not to pretend that nothing happened. Try not to just act normal. And you might try to act normal if maybe you determine that it's something that doesn't need to be fixed. But if you try to act normal, but things still feel different, then that actually might be something that you want to address. Because again, tension might build under the surface and you might start building some resentment. So don't avoid things like that, especially if this is a friendship that you want to endure and keep going for the long haul. Sometimes, a lot of times, I think with a lot of us, it might feel easier to just move past it, but that usually doesn't fix anything in the long run. And once you've determined that you're not going to avoid it because this friendship is worth it to you, then you just want to have a conversation with that person. But you just want to say what actually bothered you very simply and be very honest with them and let them know. Just be clear about what bothered you. You don't have to over explain it. You don't have to exaggerate the story. You don't have to overbuild the story. Just stick to what actually happened, whether it was some type of confrontation, something they said, something they did, whatever it was that made you feel hurt. Just be very honest and upfront about that. Not aggressive, just very clear. and let them know how that made you feel. Keep it very simple and very direct, and just try to have that open conversation with that person so that they can clearly understand how you felt in that moment. And it's very important for you to also remain open. It's a two-way street, this conversation. So it's very important for you to calmly make sure you listen and try to understand what they're feeling as well. You don't need a perfect or extra long explanation. You just need to be honest about what it was that they may have said or done to make you feel that way, or maybe what both of you said or done in a certain situation so that you can work through it together. And sometimes there are going to be times in your friendships when another person might not have even realized that they hurt you. And we've talked about that in another video, and I'll link that in the description below if you want to check that out. And another thing too is you have to be open to hearing their side. And sometimes that might feel a little bit uncomfortable, just like they might feel a little bit uncomfortable while they're listening to your side. But repair of a friendship is not one-sided. The friendship isn't one-sided, and therefore repairing it is also not one-sided. It is a group effort, it's a team effort, it's a friend effort, and it takes two to continue to build friendships into long term. And then we also have to understand that what they said or did, they might have had no idea that you were going to react to it or be hurt by it. They might have said it just totally innocently or done something, and they had no idea you were going to take it the way you did, and vice versa. What you said or did might have landed differently with your friend, and you had no idea it was going to land that way. And in these conversations, you might hear something you didn't expect. Maybe you think it's, oh, I did this one thing or said this one thing, but in reality, your friend says, no, it's actually this, right? And so that's why it's super important to listen closely and have the open conversations and make sure you're laying all the cards out on the table. And in having those, this is the magic moment where understanding happens between the two of you. Repair only works if both parties are willing to understand each other and not just be understood. And after you have these conversations, give it a little bit of time to feel normal again, because sometimes depending on how big the hurt was between the both of you, it might take some time to feel normal again. And there's nothing wrong with that. After, right afterwards, conversations may feel a little bit different for a while because it's going to take a little bit of time for that trust to build back up again. And again, this is situational. It depends on what type of hurt happened between the two of you. But just understand it's okay if you don't have the conversation and then you're back to, 100% everything feels like it used to be. Things in the trust will build up gradually, and eventually you'll be back to that point. Consistency in conversation and openness matters more in the long run than just having the one talk. But the one talk is the beginning of that. Fixing it doesn't mean everything is going to be back to normal right away, but what it does mean is that you are moving in the right direction. Some friendships even come back stronger after something like this, but only if you are both willing to work through it instead of working around it. And this might be one of those times that it's like a step of taking a friendship that is going to end up being a long-term or a lifelong friendship. We will see you in the next one. Peace.